Hi there, and welcome back for another battle report. Sadly, my laptop that has served me well for about 9 years now has decided to retire from heavy video editing and now only deal with photos. So until I can afford a new one, I guess I have to stick with photo slides reports. Well, some weeks ago I was at the local gaming convention and hosted some ninth age introduction games. I also managed to get a regular size game in against Gustav. Since way back I had promised him an orc on orc brawl, so that is what is served this time. Neither of us have a finished army, so unfortunately you have to deal with some rather awful proxies, which I apologize for. Well, we rolled for regular deploy and cease scoring unit scenario. He only had 2 scoring units to begin with, so I was up 1 from the start. For the choice of army, my intention is as simple as to try and find a list that is fun to play and not necessarily the best ONG list out there. If you question my judgment when it comes to the lists, so that's why. Not that I think it's bad by default, but I know there are a lot of choices that are seen as more optimal at this point. His level 4 had Pyroclastic Flow, Cascading Fire, Flaming Swords and Enveloping Embers. Mine got Pyroclastic Flow and Immolation, while the other had Scorching Salvo and Enveloping Embers. Furthest on my right we have my raiders and the dashers. Then we have the trolls with some spawn proxies. Beside them a goblin unit, and a step further back a catapult, scrap wagon and a wrecking team. Next to the goblins we have the orcs with the general, and behind them the beginning of my great green idol, which I've featured in one of my blog articles if you want to know how it turned out. Next to it is another goblin unit with the witch doctors joined to it. Lastly on the left I had a wrecking team, a goblin unit and a catapult. I had a hard time deploying in this game and was not used to having to squeeze so many things together, so the backlines felt really cramped. Here I tried to make an air shot as requested at some point of the whole board, but it failed, as you can see, and I only got his models in the shot. That's fine, so since I can tell you about his deployment. He deployed very centered with artillery at the back, goblins with wizard on the right. In the middle is a spider and the general on his chariot. To the left is the Edbashers with the BSB and the empty base with a small troll on it. Is another Gargantula spider who were currently off being painted. Here are some other shots of our lines. I didn't have much of a plan more than do as many wounds as possible to the middle spider and the Edbashers before they reach my lines. His lord was probably the most difficult to deal with, but I must admit that the spider presence unfortunately made me neglect his general a bit. Since I needed some time to shoot, I went for first turn, where I moved up a little to try and get some wounds through on the yellow spider. My deploy were so cramped that I had a hard time figuring out what to do with the random stuff, so I think I need a better thought out strategy for those in the future. Trolls moved up to perhaps get a charge next turn, and raiders moved up a bit. For magic only Pyroclastic Flow was in range, and I think I got one in, killing 1 or 2 goblins. For shooting the orcs got a wound in on the spider, and one of my catapults got a nice hit on his savages, wounding 6 of them. Gustav grabbed his damn cheating dice and rolled 6-5 up. His turn, and he moves everything but the goblins up, as you see. During his magic, I failed miserably, and I think he got both pyroclastic and enveloping embers off. At least he killed 14 to 16 of my orcs, so that's really bad. His shooting didn't do much, since much of his artillery was blocked by his units, and the spider misfired and took a wound. Next, I had hoped for the scrap wagon to chaff his savages, but instead I roll a bit too good, and it charges them instead. Sadly, it ends like this, and to top it off, I think I only killed 2 of his. I also chaffed the spider on the right with my small spiders. Magic killed some goblins, and I think I got 2 more wounds on the spider with the shooting. With the scrap wagon gone, he charged the trolls with the savages, while his general tries to reach the goblins but fail. His left spider takes the chaff. There's not much movement, so his magic is still good, killing a bunch of orcs. On the other hand, his artillery still suck, with only the web launcher killing some orcs. In combat, the trolls get severely beaten and are run down. When it comes to my turn, I try to handle his savages by charging the dashers and the idol into both flanks. I missed some pictures here, but that combat goes rather well, with many savages dead and a wounded BSB. Shooting and magic continued to pick goblins and wounds from his spider. The picture you see here is from the end of his turn 3. His general have charged the goblins. His shooting have only killed my Madgit, and his Madgit has killed my wrecking team. If you wonder how his general killed so many goblins, he, besides rolling awesome, also got cascading fire off. Since last turn, he killed the dashers. He has reformed against my idol and gets a whooping of 3 wounds in. I still win, but he is steadfast, so that doesn't help me much. It's my turn 4, and I decide my general will have to hold up his if I am to have any chance. With the same kit, but a few wounds less, and a bit weaker armor, I hope for luck or the idol in the long run. I get Scorching Salve off, but it only nicks a couple of goblins. Thankfully, shooting puts down the wounded spider. Since that spider looked so much better than the troll spider, he swapped them. So if you wonder how the yellow spider came back to the board. For combat, the idol survived by only taking 1 wound. It also killed his BSB, so I'm still hoping. No general could hit the other, so he won since I had forgotten to dispel cascading fire. My stuff stuck either way. As you see here, things have not gone my way during his turn. The orcs have been shot and magic to pieces. The spider is not in combat, but there's my last orcs down. The idol took the last wound, and his general wounded my general twice, and fire ate the goblins. With that, my general broke, but actually got away. He had also panicked another goblin unit on the left. Both them and my general rallies, and with magic and shooting, I wound the spider some and killed both some orcs and some goblins with the salvo. That actually makes his orcs panic, so that's good. But in his turn they rally. There's not much else happening but for his spider munching some orcs. It's my last turn. I charged the general into his goblins and hide my wizard from his spider and general. Magic and shooting brought both savages and spiders below 25%. The general chopped up his wizard and ran the rest of the goblins down. His turn, and he didn't even have to fight the goblins since they failed terror and ran off. His shooting failed to kill my general, and that's it. For points, he had about 100 up on me, so I managed to pull out a draw, even though it looked rather bad for a while. Second game with orcs, and I'm far from doing well, so there is a lot of practice needed. Instead of that, I think it will be the Empire of Sonsdal for my next game, so don't expect any awesomeness on my part. Well, see you another time.